looking at the phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch, you're looking at all sorts of manifestations, but perhaps really looking at one phenomenon. Certainly one of the most dramatic type of phenomenon ever in paranormal is a poltergeist phenomenon, meaning literally noisy spirit, but a destructive haunting. Very likely that all of the various, multifarious paranormal incidents at the Skinwalker Ranch are caused by one entity or one source of energy. And it's not good energy, and it's not a good entity.
While paranormal researchers often attribute poltergeist phenomena to either a spiritual entity or telekinetic energy, according to the Navajo, it also fits the profile of the Skinwalker, which is a shapeshifter and a trickster.
The idea of the Skinwalker being a prankster comes from a lot of Navajo tales where they talk about the coyote being a trickster. But the Skinwalker doesn't always use the guise of a coyote. He'll use the guise of a wolf. He'll use anything that he has the skin for. It's said that they can change into owls, they can change into crows or ravens, they can change into bobcats if they have that skin. Our view on it is that they're manipulating the DNA of their own body.
Stories of beings like the Skinwalker that change shape and deceive humans can be found in cultures throughout the world. Sometimes identified as trickster gods, they are often described as coming from another world or another dimension.
We have Scandinavian stories of Loki, who's very much a trickster. We have Celtic stories of the fairies, who are also tricksters. We have stories of Krishna being also a trickster type god who likes to make jokes on people. So throughout the world, we have these stories of trickster beings who can also shapeshift into other bodies. This seems to be some entity, an extraterrestrial who's acting as a skinwalker. Perhaps he's an alien who's caught in this interdimensional doorway and manifests from time to time and ultimately terrorizes this ranch.
Is it possible that the Skinwalker is an extraterrestrial being that has crossed over from another dimension? A parallel universe? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that in addition to the stories of trickster gods, primitive rock art provides evidence of an otherworldly connection. At 9 Mile Canyon, just 60 miles south of Skinwalker Ranch, mysterious-looking creatures abound, with giant antennae and oddly shaped heads. For many members of both the Navajo and the Ute tribes, they represent ancient visitors from the stars.
When you see these figures, I have been told that these are star people. These are people from other worlds or other dimensions that have shown up and met and communicated with the ancient people that lived there.
A lot of the rock writing that have what might be considered portals that are like a spindle or holes within the universe that allow you to go into different dimensions.
Not far from 9 Mile Canyon are similar petroglyphs at Sago Canyon, San Rafael Swell, and Temple Mountain.
They look like spacemen. You have these strange creatures that for all intents and purposes seem to be floating up in the sky. They appear to wear helmets, very strange.
These figures have vortex symbols around them. You have to wonder exactly who was making these petroglyphs and what they were seeing, because they look like they're extraterrestrials.
Do the petroglyphs in the area surrounding Skinwalker Ranch point to Utah being a place of ancient and perhaps even modern alien visitation? And do several petroglyphs indicate that there could even be some sort of portal in the Uinta Mountains, opening to other dimensions. Fort Duchesne, Utah, 1968. 17-year-old Larry Sespuch is with his friends, driving along an infamous stretch of road near Skinwalker Ranch. As they approach a spot known as Dead Man's Curve, named for the high number of car crashes that have occurred there, they spot a bright object in the sky.
We were driving around with a bunch of us, and we come around Dead Man's Curve, and the driver looked in his rearview mirror and said, "Oh, what the heck is that?" It was a fireball, and that fireball was coming up behind us, and so we told him to go faster, and this thing just flew over our head. When I told my mother, she had talked about a similar incident when she was younger, and other tribal members have seen that fireball.
Other reports indicate that the local residents have been regularly witnessing similar strange events, both in and around Skinwalker Ranch, for decades. The various accounts describe flashing lights, floating orbs, and UFOs.
In this entire area, and there have been hundreds of reports of UFOs. Multiple people seeing the same ones. This particular part of the area has kind of gotten the nickname of UFO Alley because of the number of those sightings that have been reported.
We did see terror. We had openings in the sky, voices, craft coming through, orbs. Is that ET? Hard to say. Reality of the events is absolute.
I have personally watched as portions of the mesa as large as 500 to 600 feet appear to glow. We may be looking at a terrestrial light source, or we may be looking at something far more interesting.
In the 1990s, the owners of Skinwalker Ranch also witnessed strange orbs in the sky. When they relayed their experiences to George Knapp, he found that the UFOs were tied to the other paranormal activity taking place on the property.
They start hearing heavy footsteps outside their bedroom window at night. Then they start seeing these dark humanoid shapes in the windows at night. Then they start hearing the footsteps inside the house. Then they wake up at night and there's the thing at the bottom of their bed. But they would go out at night, they walk around, they start hearing disembodied voices in the sky above their heads, speaking some strange language, almost like mocking them. They start seeing little orbs floating around, seemingly intelligently controlled, flitting around in the trees.
Is it possible that reports of floating orbs, poltergeist activity, and the creature known as the Skinwalker are not separate phenomena? Might they be better understood by considering that altogether? Another story told to George Knapp by the Shermans may reveal yet another aspect to the Skinwalker Ranch mystery.
The first day they're on the property, they see an animal of some sort over on the brush line, and it starts coming toward them. And then realize that's a wolf. It's huge. The back of the wolf came up to the middle of his chest. They petted this thing. It was a real physical creature. Now the calves are in the corral. They're all backed up against one side, scared of this wolf, except one calf makes the mistake of sticking his snout out between the bars of the corral. The wolf sees it, leaps in the air like 20 feet, chomps down on the head of this calf, and is trying to drag it out of the corral. His son grabs a .357 out of the truck and brings it over. Dad pops a shot into this wolf. No yelp, no blood, no anything. Shoots it a second and third time. Now this is the fourth shot they put into this wolf, and then a fifth shot goes right into the chest. A chunk of flesh and fur comes popping off the side and falls on the ground. And this wolf just casually turns around and starts walking 5 shots in this thing and didn't kill it.
The Shermans say they pursued the wolf into the brush, following its tracks on the wet ground.
They get to a clearing beyond the brush, a muddy area. The tracks go all the way out into the middle of the muddy field and stop. It's gone. It's as if it had been sucked up into the sky.
Later, when the Shermans told this story to a group of scientists that had come to investigate the ranch, they were shown a series of photographs and asked if any of them resembled the animal they encountered.
They have a lineup of different types of wolves to ask each of the family members, show us what this looked like. And the one that they all identified is what's known as a dire wolf. Dire wolf, of course, has been extinct for 10,000 years.
If a dire wolf is, in fact, what the Shermans witnessed, could it present another clue as to what is happening at Skinwalker Ranch? Many ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer is simple. According to them, the ranch most likely contains some kind of interdimensional portal, one that would allow not only travel from one dimension to another, but to various points in time and space. And they also believe that the man who knows the truth is the eccentric billionaire who recently owned Skinwalker Ranch, Robert Bigelow. Skinwalker Ranch, 1996. Following 2 years of non-stop paranormal and extraterrestrial phenomenon, the Shermans are driven to sell the ranch. The purchaser is a man almost as mysterious